the needle felted sheep pin. This comes out so cute. This is the foam that I used to felt on, and those are my needles sticking out the top. This is the fiber. I use Harrisville design fiber, and I'm just kind of rolling it around between my palms to get the felting started. And then I start shaping it with my needle tools. When I first started felting, I really was not interested in needle felting. I didn't really understand how it worked, and it wasn't very appealing to me. But I have to say, I only did wet felting, but I have to say that I just love doing it now. There's something very meditative about it. You have to make sure you keep your fingers out of the way while you're doing it, but it's just fascinating to me that you can shape the fiber into an actual object. I think it's really fun, and I love the look of it as well, and so do my customers, actually. So I'm trying to shape this into a coin type shape that's got smooth edges. I'm just trying to smooth out those edges right now, and that's relatively solid so that it's not flimsy. I noticed that sometimes when I've seen needle felted items, they are not really fully felted. They could just kind of fall apart very easily. So here I just switched from my 2 needle tool to my 1 needle, just trying to neaten up the edge there so that it's nice and clean. And this is what I use to make the ears and the head of the sheep. So these are going to be the ears, and then I'm going to use another small piece to make the head. The other supplies that I need for this project are, I use a metallic thread, and you'll see later on in the video what I use that for. And then I also use round glass beads for the eyes. And then of course you need a pin back to glue onto the back. So I'm just shaping the ears here. And it always amazes me how fast it felts up. It shapes up. I always think, oh, making the sheep ears takes forever, but it really doesn't. It only takes just a couple of minutes, actually. So there's the ears, and this is going to be the head. And I'm going to felt all of that together. Well, once I have the ears and the face felted, I combine those, which is what I'm doing right here, in the same way. I just poke it with a needle until they become one piece, and then I will be attaching that to the body. I get my supplies at Halcyon yarn, and I used to get it from a great store called The Yarn Tree, but She doesn't carry Harrisville anymore, although you could probably get the needles from her. So this is called Curly Locks, and I got these from some farm. It was great. They actually sent me a picture of the sheep that it came from. So the curly locks sometimes are not super curly. I needed some that had very, very tight curls because the things that I make using it, the sheep, are pretty small. So I don't want big, huge curls. I think people use it also for like hair on dolls, or if they're making a Santa Claus, they would use this for a beard and the hair. But in my case, I just really need it to be really small. So I'm going to attach the head onto, which is what I'm doing here, onto the body, and I poke it from behind. And then I have to touch it up on the front because the white from the back comes through the face. Little hairs come through, so I just poke them back out. So this is what I'm going to use for the scarf. I love this color. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to needle felt this onto the body, and here it is finished. And I could leave it this way, but I like adding on a little extra detail. So for the eyes, I have these round beads, and I think these might be a little small, and I don't think I'm going to use those, but I have a size that's a tiny bit bigger than that, these ones here, and I think I'm going to use those for sure. So I'm using my microscopic needle here. I use like this needle that has a tiny hole for the string because the hole in the beads is so small. I have to have a super thin sewing needle. So I'm attaching the eyes, and I'm just attaching them together, and then I'm going to also sew down the middle of them to separate them. And they do turn because they're round, so I also put glue on them to keep them in place. So this is the glue that I use, the tacky glue, Arlene's tacky glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit on, and that will just hold those in place. This is a paint marker, and this is how I paint the eyeballs. I like them to have a kind of a funny look on their face, a funny expression on their face, so I make these funny looking eyes. So this is some beautiful metallic thread that I got, and it's called whatever it said on the top of that. And this really worked well. There was another type, Krynic thread, that I used that was thicker, and the store where I used to get it doesn't have it anymore. I think that company got bought out, and anyway, I don't know if that's why they don't have it anymore, but they had this instead, and this actually worked better because it was thinner than the other thread, and because this is so small, it just looked a lot better. So I was really happy that I got it. I knew as soon as I saw that thread that I would use it for something, but I was so happy. I forgot I even had it, and I was so happy when I opened my little box of threads and found it in there. So just finishing up the fringe. That's what I use this for, is the fringe on the scarf. And then I don't tie a knot, I just sew back and forth and then cut the thread off. So here he is, he's so cute. So this is the last thing I need to do, is to glue on with my glue gun the pin back, and I always use Gorilla Glue in the glue gun, and then I just press that on and let it dry. And it's kind of a cute holiday pin because it's non-religious, so anyone would be okay wearing it. And it's just so darn cute, isn't it? Thanks for watching. See you next time.